Seekers, seers, existential shifters, welcome to where you belong. And if you are a random muggle that so happened to have stumbled upon this place, welcome to the first day of the rest of your life. My name is Morgainne, and this is The Shift. 2023 is the year of the painful light. We have been, for the past few years, as a society, because these are collective messages, under a very dark cloud that has been veiling us from seeing clearly and with ease what it is that is stirring. So, to give our soul and spirit the chance to see without it being shown to us, right? Da Vinci divided the world into three types of people: those who see when shown, and those who can't see. We are transitioning into a higher frequency, or should I say broader frequency, where the aspect of those who can't see cannot be sustained anymore. Light wishes to transcend darkness, or should I say, turn darkness into light. Light wishes to take those who live in the dark and take them into a place of sight where they can truly walk their path. Because if they're continuously lost in this cycle of illusion, they can't really progress with their soul journey and growth. And that holds the collective behind. It holds planet Earth behind when it comes to its own progression in the cosmos. So what has been going on has been a very thick veil, right? To put us in obscene levels of confusion so that who we are forces itself out. So our spirit is no longer capable of being suppressed because it's so dark around. It's so confusing. They say that when a person is afraid, you can see the truth of who they are, because the truth comes out when we are at our most stressful situations. That's when the system doesn't have energy and strength and stamina to maintain, to sustain, to contain the show, the the mask that we put on, the appearance, right? When we're feeling safe, we can sustain that show. But when we're absolutely terrified, it's like everything drops except for the absolute important core, because that's the only energy we have left. So, what does 2023 has to do with it? Well, now the veil is going to be lifted, and we will all see, because the truth will be in our face. And those who have not seen what has been going on in the past few years, the deception, the manipulation, the mass psychosis, will now have no choice but to become aware of it, because they won't be able to use any excuses. The truth is coming out like dominoes. It's going to be a collapsing tower. One break will come out, and then another, and then another, and another, and it's like the destruction will be in front of us. Everything is coming to light. from the past few years. Justice is going to be served. Spirit has been here this entire time. It wasn't an abandonment of spirit. It was tough love from spirit. Boy, did we feel it. And now it's when it's going to show everyone everything. And those who will be shocked by it because they haven't been aware or didn't know or pretend to not know, or maybe it was more comfortable not to know, close their eyes. If I can't see it, if I can't hear it, if I can't, you know, speak it, then it doesn't exist. They will be forced to face themselves. As they will face the world, the reality, they will face themselves. How did I not see? How did I not know? How could that be? For the past few months, there has been exposure, but a lot of people were still in denial or chose to not watch and not read. But again, it's going to be so blunt and evident that they won't be able to, and that will create amongst that, the Da Vinci definition of those who cannot see, a group of people and societies, it will create a collapse, an emotional and internal collapse, of self-questioning, and they're going to find themselves reborn into this world from a place of consciousness. And they're going to be in their diapers. So you'll see a lot of spiritual teachers online will feel like there's this crazy new wave of newcomers. You'll see them feeling like they need to explain terminologies, like for beginners. And that's okay. It's going to be like a shockwave, but more towards when Jupiter goes into Aries. So from the second part of the year. Sorry, Jupiter goes into Taurus, and the North Node moves into Aries. That's what I meant. The South Node will be in Libra, correcting societal justice and delivering karma for injustice. It will be the year of independent journalism that isn't going to be shamed or disrespected, rather now trusted. It's going to be the year of a lot of lawsuits for violation of human rights and a lot of wins. So those who have succumbed to enacting forms of discrimination and segregation in the past 2 years, be it businesses, employers, etc., we're going to have to pay. They're going to have to pay. I see a lot of lawsuits happening because as there is proof to what many of us have already known, now they'll be able to sue. So personal collapse, when an individual collapses on a personal level when it comes to how could I not see, how could I not know, if it's a large group of people, it causes also collective collapse. It's going to be messy. And it will be held by the shoulders, held and guided by the shoulders of those who have been aware. Who can you listen to? Well, if you see content creators or anyone online who now says the things that they didn't say during 2020, 2021, 2021, they wouldn't say it online. They just kind of, sailed through it, to maintain followings and not be cast. And only now, when it's still, not completely popular, but at least backed up by a lot more voices and more proof, if only now they're starting to speak as if they are these, they're special and they're telling the truth when no one else will, when they have not in the past 2 years, only now when it's getting comfortable so they can take the credit for the alleged hero, whatever, but not actually face the consequences of going against the grain and speaking the truth. Those are not your people. That's a narcissistic thing to do. Playing it safe, and then as soon as it becomes a little safer to be outspoken, only then saying things to just have the credit of the bravery. That's just puke. I can't, it's puke. But you're going to see a lot of it. I'm not referring to people who have changed their mind or were afraid, but feel remorse and talk to their people and they apologize and they express, that they either changed their mind or they've known but they were afraid and that they're sorry that they haven't spoken up. If they are transparent and honest with you, that depends on you and how you decide to look at it. But if they're acting as if, but they have not, as if they were talking, but they have not, then they're normal people, but they're not your spiritual guide or leader. They have not been with you in the trenches. They have not tried to sound off the alarm while it mattered, when it mattered, when you needed them to. They're in it for the credit and they're in it for the fame, but they're not the actual thing. So that's a way to know what's not. And it's really up to you if you've had, in your subjective connection to people. But I do recommend to trust the few. And there are those. There are several of creators out there that have been outspoken during the past few years on on their platform, myself included, that I know have cost us a lot. It has cost me a lot. I'll speak for myself. I know it has cost me a lot. I knew what I was doing as I was talking. I knew that my exposure is being, hurt and that my channel gets hurt by it. But there was no way for me to face myself in the mirror once I knew this will pass and the truth will come to light, had I not said anything. Also, I actually give a fuck about you. So I actually wanted to try and tell you. If I presume, or if anyone presumed to be a guide to consciousness, to awareness, awakening and enlightenment and all that jazz fun stuff, and light, they need to embody that. I bet that there are other creators who did that. Off the top of my head, I just want to give a shout out to David Palmer from the Leo King, who was very outspoken during this entire time, and Lada from Astrolada, that I've heard on several occasions trying to kind of, at the very least, insinuate and sometimes speak. If you know of other creators who've done the same and didn't fear the consequence or were aware of the consequence and did it anyway to show, to show up for you, feel free to mention them in the comments. I'm sure there are more brave souls. And I'm referring to the spiritual community. Of course, there are so many in the medical community, some in politics, very few, very few. In investigative journalism, in independent investigative journalism, I mean. I know there were those who spoke up, and those were the ones I trusted. But specifically now, I'm referring to the spiritual community because you can be a person who's afraid. You can be a person who wants to do the smart thing in order to save your business. Doesn't necessarily make you a bad person, but you can't refer to yourself then as a spiritual leader. That shit is muddy, and it it, it means showing up. It's just what it is. It means showing up. So there's going to be a lot of like self-realizations on all fields for all people. I'm not just I don't want to just stay stuck on the spiritual community. It's just, something that I utilize in this video to convey the point of what I see for 2023. Sorry, I just want to like fix the focus. You know what? Is this working? It's fine. So, why painful light? Because truth can hurt sometimes, especially if it contradicts who we think we are or how good we thought we were. For people who knew they were virtue signaling and do that in general and were just putting on a show and were aware of the fact that they were putting on a show, that they're not gonna, I mean, they were aware of themselves, right? It was intentional deceit for the outside by them. But there were those who actually believed themselves. That's where some real shockers are going to come through. Um, Pluto and Saturn. Saturn leaves Aquarius in March, moves into Pisces. Pluto leaves Capricorn in March, moves into Aquarius. It will return to Capricorn on and off and will only solidify itself in Aquarius in 2024 or 2025, I believe. It will go back and forth. But it's going to be very dramatic on a collective level. So Saturn now moved from Aquarius after so much restrictions on society, on the collective, right? On Aquarian energy. And now Pluto's coming in because here's the thing. We all need transformative kick in the booty, right? So Pluto has given that to governments, to, leaders when it was in Capricorn. But during the past few years, as I said for the past 15 minutes, it was the people that were very confused, and many have allowed themselves to be confused out of fear and ignorance and selfishness, right? So, there are corrupt leaders and there are corrupt peasants, right? There are terrible kings, but there are also terrible people, just like there are good leaders and good people. So it's not, so the Aquarian theme is that it's always the people who are in the right, and it's often the leaders or the governments that are corrupt and bad, and et cetera, et cetera. That too, but also the people cannot truly transform society or bring down corrupt leaderships if they are themselves corrupt, if the individuals within those groups of people have dark awareness and dark heart. And when I say dark, I don't mean the magical empty space, vast knowledge, Akashic records type of darkness. I mean evil, a cloud of ignorance. So Pluto now moving into Aquarius is exactly that shock element that I was talking about, the painful light. Pluto is soul. It's the purest aspect of our soul, and it's going to be very demanding in Aquarius out of society, out of the people to align with who they claim they are. We the people for the people. Okay. Are you worthy? Because even though there are, you know, countries, for example, where the people rebel and go against the corrupt leaderships or dictatorships or tyrannies. And in Iran, for example, people are out in the streets saying no, and they have a different mindset than their leaders, right? The people aren't corrupt as their government, very different. However, there are societies where One of the main reasons why corrupt leaders keep, staying in rulership is because the people themselves vote them or don't fight them. When you are indifferent, when you enable, when you don't stand up and say, that's not in my name, that's not what I believe in, that's not a mirror of who I am, then you're basically vicariously saying that that is who you are. So there are places in the world where the people have not been resisting their corrupt leaderships and their actions. They have been somewhat even aligned with them. And those are places and people that are going to get a major shocker. Okay. Because in order for the people to win or for the people to be the good, they actually need to be the good. And that's what Pluto is going to do. It's going to show every single person who they are, and it's going to force them into making a decision. Who am I? And then act in accordance. You won't be able to say, well, why are you judging me according to XYZ? It's not me, it's the leaders. Okay. When you're from a place that you resist, but if you haven't said a word or haven't attended a single demonstration or haven't fought back or haven't just simply not agreed to things, then you are your leaders. It very much so applies here. So people will have to face the tune, their tune. So it's going to be a painful light. Now it's important, it's healing, it's transformative. It will get us even closer to the new earth, right? But it is nonetheless uncomfortable. And people are going to start, it's going to start with freaking out before it's going to get better. It's going to be messy. Now, I want to talk about World War III. Sorry, I didn't say this is going to be an easy video. Um, it already started. It was already initiated by Russia and by China. We're already in the, when will it be, you know, evidently happening in the world more than it is now? Possibly when the North Node transits Aries, you know? It's going to be a slow cooker and then it's going to be a lot at once this year. I don't see 2023. There are going to be a lot of allyships, right? New alliances that will be forming that are good, that will be able to give a counteract. These alliances are happening now. For example, the Abraham Accords, right? There are a lot of Arab Muslim countries now that are have begun, and it's progressing more and more. More countries are joining when it comes to making peace with Israel. That's super important. It's super important to the Middle East. It's super important to democracy of the world as a whole, to democracies. And it's very important for the Middle East aspect of awakening. That's a whole other story in and of itself. But I see the Abraham Accords as one of the most miraculous things that have happened to us in a very long time. And I mean the world when I say us. It is imperative. And I follow it, you know, I keep track of what's going on that respect. that will bring a lot of light into the region, but also in inevitable results to the world. That is one of those things that give me hope. The people today do give me hope. I don't want it to sound like I'm like, oh, it's just, again, there are those who see and those that see when shown. And that's more than half. We just need to bring another, another level with us. So this is actually an optimistic video. It's just 2023 is that process of extreme, different, good and bad things happening. It's going to feel like a mess on a collective level if you follow everything that's happening. Because on one hand, you see these atrocities, on the other hand, you see these really great things happening in processes. The more the darkness is trying to raise its ugly head and take over, it sounds so dramatic, but you know what I mean? The more light is also, shining through the people and leaders and forces us to wake up and face life and face reality and do something. So it will result with us becoming better, more evolved, stronger, smarter. It is a good thing in and of itself. It's just it feels like a lot. Now, that was on a collective level. Now, on a personal level, honestly, it really depends where people are in the world, because that is all of this is combined with climate-based immigration, war-based immigration. So there's going to be a lot of migration, and countries will need to adapt to it. They already have the infrastructure because there has been migration for a very long time. So they have the infrastructure, but it's going to have to get better. I'm trying to see what else comes up. Oh, now, when I said on a personal level, there are many of you, especially those who have been on a path of awareness and inner work and consciousness and self observation and doing the courageous thing even when it's difficult. It can actually be a year of ease for you on several levels. It might feel very contradictory. Like on one hand, you're going through something great, on the other hand, something is happening in the world that is terrible, and it's like, you know, it's confusing. That's where you're going to have to find the silver lining between being joyous and grateful and, enjoy your life. You deserve it to succeed and to be happy and to be loved and all the jazz. Between having that sentiment and experiencing that versus also remaining aware of what's going on in the world. Okay. I want to see if there's anything I can think of. Okay. I just want to express to you guys my appreciation and my love for being patient with me for the past month or two. I've been MIA a little bit because I've been going through my own transits and my own process and my own transformation. And it was in my personal life. I had to deal with a lot of life, with a lot of things, just 3D stuff. It was been very challenging. I'm still in the midst of it, but for a moment there, I found a moment of solace and inspiration to sit down and do this video for you, for us. Um, you know how much you mean to me, my seekers. You know how much you mean to me. And I had to choose myself because it got to a point where I was like, if I don't stop everything and just hyper vigilantly focus on my life right now and the things I need to do, uh, it's not going to go well. So I made an executive decision. I chose me, and I am still here. I have not stopped doing the 12 signs a month for the zodiac signs, 13 signs of Fucus. Um, I'm absolutely going to come back to it. In the meantime, you know, you might occasionally see me with like um, videos that I feel like I can do that might be for the collective. I'm posting, I'm reposting on our sister channel, On Board the Shift, all the 13th element videos from past years. And from here on, any 13th element episode, I will upload there. On top of other entertainment content like my martial arts and my acting will be over there. I'm separating the platforms, and here will be reserved to channeling, prophecies, astrology, tarot, runes, numerology, you know, the divination, energy work aspect. So if you're about that, of course, join here if you're new, subscribe to the shift, but also check out On Board the Shift if you haven't yet. Where am I also still active no matter what? On Patreon. Oh my God. Oh, I'm so happy I remembered. Amazing news. Patreon has now started giving free trials. You have a 7-day free trial on Patreon. Go there right now, sign up for a week, you're not paying, and then you don't have to continue. If you continue, then you get charged, but if you don't, then you don't. So you get to enjoy the content for unlimited streaming for 7 days for free. You have all of Tarot Masterclass Bunkai over there, 90 pre-recorded classes where I teach you tarot. And you have all of the karmic shift and liberation over there. And you have daily messages from the runes that are geared toward my community of patrons. So it's more focused, the messages on my patrons. So there's that. And of course, I'm on Instagram. I'm very random about Instagram, but when I'm there, I'm there. So it's the Existential Shift. Yeah. Yeah, I think that's it. Okay. Stay vigilant. Stay magic. Stay true. I love you.
דורות האפתר או אורת התור אהבתו. The wheel of life speaks the laws of love. Hello there, beautiful Tarochi. Morgainne, the Existential Shift here. You want to undergo a true spiritual quest, a shamanic journey, the path of the heart to discover the bunkai, the secret applications of tarot. You are so fed up with the superficial books you can find everywhere, with information that you can find everywhere. What about the deep stuff from different cultures, different times in history? What about the other occult systems within it, like astrology, numerology, Kabbalah, Greek mythology? I've put all of it within 90 pre-recorded classes that I made just for you. 15 minutes, 20 minutes, hour long, within my own private living room with me. Feels like a one-on-one. And you get to truly learn tarot.
To snap out of our human form, to snap out of being, defined by our astrological map, imprisoned by our karma, break through all of that, have a clean slate, tap into our most highest potential of our soul, just create our life. That is real work with the tarot. How it is done, I will explain